The small research ship drifted quietly through the dark space near the edge of the galaxy. Its name was Gentle Current, and it belonged to the Zilari people. The ship was not built for war or fighting. It was made for peaceful work, studying stars and planets that no one had seen before. Inside the ship, Chief Navigator HFY was having a very bad day. The main engine had stopped working 3 hours ago, and now they were stuck in the middle of nowhere. The nearest Zilari colony was weeks away, even if their engines were working perfectly. "The quantum drive is completely dead," said Chief Engineer Zeppelon, his 4 arms moving quickly over the broken machine. His blue skin was darker than usual, which meant he was worried. "I can fix it, but it will take at least 2 days. Senior Researcher Kithara floated near the main window, looking out at the stars. Her people did not walk like humans did. They moved through the air inside their ships, using small fins on their arms and legs. 2 days, she said quietly. The Council will be angry if we are late with our reports. The Zilari were a peaceful people. They had never fought wars or built weapons. For thousands of years, they had traveled between stars, learning about the universe and sharing knowledge with other peaceful races. They did not even have shields on their ships, because they had never needed them. HFY was trying to fix the communication system when he made his mistake. The old emergency beacon was hidden behind a broken panel, and he did not see it when he reached for the quantum communicator. His hand touched the ancient device, and it turned on with a loud beep. "What was that?" asked Kithara. "I do not know," HFY said, looking at the strange device. It was very old, from the time of the Galactic Wars hundreds of years ago. Most people had forgotten about those terrible times. "It looks like some kind of old transmitter." The beacon was already sending its message into space. The signal was strong and traveled fast, reaching far beyond where any normal communication could go. But the message was wrong. Instead of saying, "Research ship needs help with engine," it said something much more frightening. The old language was hard to understand, but the basic meaning was clear. Massive invasion force detected. Send immediate military assistance. All available ships respond. The Zilari did not know what the beacon was saying. They could not read the old military codes. They thought it was just asking for help with their broken engine far away on the other side of the galaxy. The human exploration ship USS Liberty was flying through space on a routine mission. They were mapping new trade routes and looking for planets that might have useful resources. Communications Officer Katie Walsh was drinking coffee and reading reports when her computer made a loud alarm sound. She almost dropped her cup. "Captain Morrison to the bridge," she said into her microphone. "We have a code red emergency signal." Captain Jake Morrison was in his office, working on boring paperwork. He was a tall man with gray hair and scars on his hands from old battles. He had fought in the Proxima conflicts 5 years ago, where humans first met hostile alien races. The experience had taught him to always be ready for trouble. He ran to the bridge and looked at Katie's screen. The message was clear and frightening. An alien race was under attack and needed help immediately. "How far away?" he asked. "About 6 hours at maximum speed," Katie said. "But Captain, this is a military distress call. We are just an exploration ship. We do not have enough weapons to fight an invasion." Morrison looked at the message again. His training told him to be careful, but his heart told him to help. Humans had a simple rule. When someone called for help, you answered. "Send a message to Earth Command," he said. "Tell them we have a confirmed alien invasion in progress. Request immediate military support." Katie sent the message, and the answer came back quickly. Admiral Lisa Brooks herself was on the communication screen within minutes. "Captain Morrison," she said, "we are taking this very seriously. How big is the invasion force? Unknown, Admiral. The signal just says massive invasion force detected. It could be anything. Admiral Brooks was quiet for a moment. Humans had learned that space was dangerous. There were many hostile alien races out there, and some of them had tried to attack. Human colonies. The Proxima conflicts had taught them to respond quickly and with overwhelming force. "We are sending you the entire Third Fleet," she said. 200 ships, including battlecruisers and support vessels. You will be in command until we can send a full admiral. Morrison felt his heart beat faster. The Third Fleet was the strongest military force humans had ever assembled. It was designed to fight major wars against entire alien civilizations. "Admiral, are you sure? This might just be a small problem." "Captain, we cannot take that risk. If there is a major invasion happening, we need to be ready. The Third Fleet will arrive at your location in 4 hours. Hold position and gather intelligence." The communication ended, and Morrison looked around his bridge. His crew was staring at him with wide eyes. They were about to be part of the biggest military operation in human history. Meanwhile, on the gentle current, the Zilari were still trying to fix their engine. They had no idea that their accident had just triggered a massive response from the most dangerous military force in the galaxy. "I think the beacon is working," said Vexai. "Someone should receive our message soon." "Good," said Kithara. "Hopefully, they will send a repair ship quickly." Zeppelon looked up from the engine. "I hope whoever comes has the right tools. This engine uses very old technology." In 4 hours, 200 human warships would arrive at their location, expecting to find a major battle. Instead, they would find 3 confused scientists floating in a broken research ship, wondering why no one had come to help them yet. The biggest misunderstanding in galactic history was about to begin. The space around the gentle current was quiet and empty. The 3 Zilari scientists were still working on their broken engine. When the universe suddenly changed around them, it started with a small flash of light in the distance. Then another. Then dozens more. The flashes grew bigger and brighter until the darkness of space was filled with the white fire of ships coming out of hyperspace. "What is that?" whispered Kithara, floating near the window. Vexai looked at his instruments, and his blue skin turned almost white with fear. "Ships," he said in a shaking voice. "Many ships. More than I can count." The human Third Fleet appeared in perfect battle formation around the tiny Zilari vessel. 200 warships, each one bigger than the largest Zilari space station, surrounded them in a giant sphere. The ships were dark and powerful, covered in armor and weapons that could destroy entire planets. At the center of the fleet, Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his flagship, the USS Liberty. His tactical officer, Commander Ben Parker, was studying the sensor readings with a confused look on his face. "Captain," Parker said, "I am not detecting any enemy ships." Morrison looked at the main screen, which showed the small alien vessel floating alone in space. "Are you sure? Run the scans again?" "I have run them 5 times, sir. There is only one ship out there. It is small, has no weapons, and appears to be damaged." Morrison felt a cold feeling in his stomach. What about the invasion force? "No invasion. Force, sir. No weapon signatures. No signs of battle. Nothing." The captain walked closer to the screen. The alien ship was tiny compared to his warships. It looked more like a research vessel than a military craft. Could they be hiding somehow? "Negative. Sir, our sensors can detect cloaked ships. There is nothing out there except that one small vessel." On the gentle current, the 3 Zilari were frozen with terror. Their people had heard stories about the Deathworlders, beings from a planet so dangerous that it had turned them into natural warriors. But these were just stories. No one had ever seen them. Are those the humans? asked Zeppelon, his forearms trembling. Kythara could not speak. She was staring at the massive warships that surrounded them. Each one was armed with enough weapons to destroy a city. The stories had not prepared her for this. "They are going to kill us," whispered Vexa AI. Captain Morrison made a decision. "Open a communication channel. Let us talk to them." Lieutenant Amy Foster, the fleet's xenobiologist, worked at her station to establish contact. She had studied dozens of alien languages and was skilled at first contact protocols. The computer translated the signals from the small ship and put them on the main screen. The first thing the humans saw was a blue-skinned being floating in the air inside the alien ship. It had 4 arms and large eyes that were wide with fear. When it saw the humans on the screen, it made a sound like a frightened animal. "Hello," said Amy in a calm voice. "I am Lieutenant Foster of the Human Third Fleet. We received your distress call. What is your situation?" The alien tried to speak, but only strange sounds came out. It was too scared to talk properly. Another alien appeared on the screen. This one was taller and seemed to be trying to stay calm. We are peaceful researchers," it said in broken human language. "Our engine is broken. We need help to fix it." Commander Parker looked at Captain Morrison. "Sir, this does not look like a military situation." Morrison studied the aliens on the screen. They were clearly afraid, but they did not look like warriors. Their ship had no weapons, no armor, and no military equipment. These were scientists, not soldiers. "Where is the invasion force?" Morrison asked. The tall alien looked confused. "Invasion? Force? We do not understand. There is no invasion. We are just 3 people on a research mission." Amy Foster realized what had happened. "Captain, I think there has been a mistake. These people are not under attack. They just have a broken engine." Morrison felt embarrassed. He had brought the entire Third Fleet to help 3 stranded scientists. 200 warships, thousands of crew members, and enough firepower to fight a major war, all for a simple engine repair. "Stand down all weapons," he ordered. This is not a military situation. But as the human ships powered down their weapons, Amy Foster noticed something alarming on her instruments. "Captain, I am detecting unusual radiation from their ship. It is getting stronger." Dr. Ryan Cole, the chief medical officer, looked at the readings. "That is exotic radiation from their damaged engine. It is harmless to us, but it could be dangerous to their species." Morrison looked at the aliens on the screen again. Now he could see that they looked sick. Their blue skin was getting darker, and they were moving slowly. How dangerous? He asked, "If I am reading this correctly, they have maybe 6 hours before. The radiation kills them." Morrison understood the situation now. This was not a military emergency, but it was still an emergency. 3 innocent beings were going to die unless someone helped them. "Foster, tell them we are here to help. Parker, get me our best engineers. Cole, start working on the medical situation." Amy Foster spoke to the aliens again. "We understand now. You are not under attack, but you are in danger from radiation. We want to help you." The tall alien, who had introduced himself as Kythara, looked surprised. "You want to help us? But we are strangers. We are not your people." "That does not matter," Morrison said, stepping into view of the communication screen. "When someone needs help, humans help. That is what we do." Kythara stared at the human captain. The stories about Deathworlders said they were violent and dangerous. But this human was offering to help people he had never met before. "We would be grateful for any assistance," Kythara said. Morrison turned to his crew. "All right, people. We came here expecting a war, but we found something more important. We found people who need our help. Let us show them what humans can do." The massive Third Fleet, designed for battle, was about to become the greatest rescue operation in galactic history. And the three Zelari scientists were about to learn that humans were much more than just warriors from a death world. They were also the kind of people who would bring their entire fleet to help strangers in need. Dr. Kithara had studied many different alien species in her long career as a researcher, but she had never seen anything like the humans. As she watched them on the communication screen, she noticed things that made her both fascinated and frightened. Human Captain Morrison moved with controlled power. Even when he was standing still, his body looked ready to fight or run at any moment. His eyes were sharp and alert, always watching everything around him. When he spoke, his voice was calm, but there was something underneath that reminded Kithara of a sleeping predator. "These are the Deathworlders," she whispered to herself. The stories about humans said they came from a world so dangerous that most aliens would die there within minutes. A world with poisonous air, crushing gravity, deadly weather, and creatures that could kill with their bare hands. The stories said this terrible world had created a race of beings who were stronger, faster, and more dangerous than any other species in the galaxy. But the stories had not mentioned that humans could also be kind. "Dr. Kithara," said the human. "Woman called Amy Foster. We need to understand your biology so we can help you. Can you tell us about your people?" Kithara tried to focus on the scientific discussion, but it was hard to concentrate. The human woman looked small and gentle compared to Captain Morrison, but even she moved with the same controlled strength. Her hands were steady, her voice was calm, and her eyes missed nothing. "We are a crystalline-based species," Kithara explained. "Our bodies are made of living crystal structures. We need very specific conditions to survive. Low gravity, filtered light, and clean energy fields." Dr. Ryan Cole, the human medical officer, was taking notes. "And the radiation from your engine? It is breaking down our cellular matrix," Kithara said, feeling weaker as she spoke. "Our bodies cannot repair themselves fast enough." On the bridge of the USS Liberty, Captain Morrison was learning about the situation from his officers. The news was not good. "The radiation is getting stronger," reported Dr. Cole. "Their ship's shielding is failing. At the current rate, they will be dead in 4 hours." Commander Parker looked at the readings. "Can we beam them over to our ship?" "That would kill them instantly," Cole said. "Our environment is toxic to their species. The gravity alone would crush them, and our atmosphere would poison them in seconds." Morrison felt frustrated. He had the most powerful fleet in human space, but he could not save 3 small aliens from radiation poisoning. "What about their engine?" he asked. "Can we fix it?" Chief Engineer Steve Martinez had been studying the alien technology. "Captain, their engine is completely different from ours. They use something called crystalline matrices and bioneural interfaces. We use fusion drives and quantum processors. It is like trying to fix a living tree with metal tools." Morrison looked at the screen showing the alien ship. The 3 beings inside were getting weaker by the hour. Their blue skin was turning darker, and they were moving more slowly. "There has to be something we can do," he said. Lieutenant Foster had an idea. "Captain, what if we cannot bring them to us, but we can bring ourselves to them?" "Explain." "We modify one of our shuttles. Strip out everything that makes it deadly to them. Create a clean environment where they can survive. Then we dock with their ship and move them to safety." Dr. Cole shook his head. "That would take days. They do not have days." "Then we work faster," Morrison said. "Foster, get me a team of engineers. I want every available person working on this problem." On the gentle current, the 3 Zelari were watching the human fleet with growing amazement. Dozens of small ships were moving between the larger vessels, carrying supplies and equipment. The humans were working with incredible speed and efficiency. "They are preparing something," said Vixai. But what? Zeppelin was monitoring the human communications. I think they are trying to build something to help us. But I do not understand their technology. Kithara was studying the humans themselves. She had spent her life learning about different species. But the humans were unlike anything she had ever encountered. They moved with purpose and determination. When they faced a problem, they did not waste time discussing it. They immediately began working on solutions. Look at how they coordinate, she said to her companions. Each ship knows exactly what to do. They work together like a single organism. The Zelari watched as human engineers began taking apart one of their shuttle craft. They removed weapons, armor, and life support systems. They replaced the heavy metal walls with lighter materials. They installed new air processors and gravity generators. They are building something for us, Vexai realized. They are modifying their own ship to keep us alive. But even as they worked, the Zelari could feel themselves getting weaker. The radiation was affecting their minds now, making it hard to think clearly. Kithara found herself struggling to remember simple words. Captain Morrison received regular updates on both projects. The modified shuttle was taking shape, but it would not be ready for another 3 hours. The Zelari had less than 2 hours left. We need another solution, he said to his senior staff. Something faster. Dr. Cole had been thinking about the problem. Captain, what if we do not fix their ship? What if we clean it instead? What do you mean? We use our decontamination systems. We flood their ship with cleansing energy to neutralize the radiation. But we do it from the outside, so we do not risk damaging their life support. Morrison looked at the proposal. Will it work? I think so. But it means we have to get very close to their ship. Close enough that our decontamination beams can reach every part of their vessel. Commander Parker studied the plan. Captain, that is very risky. If something goes wrong, we could destroy their ship by accident. Morrison looked at the screen showing the 3 dying aliens. They were scientists, not soldiers. They had never hurt anyone. They were just trying to learn about the universe, and now they were going to die because of a mechanical failure. We take the risk, he said. Humans do not abandon people who need help. As the human fleet began moving into position around the gentle current, Kithara realized something important. The stories about Deathworlders were true. Humans were incredibly dangerous. They could fight wars, destroy planets, and kill with terrifying efficiency. But the stories had missed the most important thing about humans. They were also willing to risk everything to save strangers they had never met before. They are going to try to save us, she told her companions. Can they do it? Asked Vexai. Kithara watched the massive human ships moving into position with perfect precision. These beings had mastered the art of war, but now they were using those same skills to preserve life. I think, she said quietly, that humans can do anything they decide to do. The human fleet moved like a giant machine around the small Zelari ship. Captain Morrison had given his orders, and now 200 ships were working together to save 3 alien scientists they had never met before. Engineer Steve Martinez was on the USS Liberty's main engineering deck, staring at holographic displays of the alien engine. The technology was completely different from anything humans had ever built. Where human engines used raw power and metal, the Zelari engine was made of living crystals and organic computers. It is like trying to understand a flower by looking at a rock, Martinez said to his team. Everything about this is wrong. His assistant, Petty Officer Dan Tucker, was studying the crystal formations. Sir, these crystals are actually alive. They grow and change. Our engines are built to last forever, but theirs are built to evolve. Martinez nodded. The Zelari had taken a completely different path in their technology. Instead of fighting against nature, they had learned to work with it. Their ships were grown rather than built. Their engines were bred rather than manufactured. The problem is the radiation, Martinez said. It is poisoning the crystals. They are dying from the inside out. On the medical deck, Dr. Ryan Cole was working with the Zelari medic Yil F through the communication system. The alien doctor was very weak, but she was still trying to help her people. Our cellular structure is breaking down, Yilif explained, her voice barely a whisper. The radiation is like acid to us. It dissolves the bonds that hold our bodies together. Dr. Cole looked at the medical scans. The Zelari were not like humans at all. Where humans had blood and bones, the Zelari had crystalline networks and energy. Fields, their bodies were incredibly delicate, designed for a peaceful world with perfect conditions. How long do you have? Cole asked. Maybe 1 hour, Yileth said. Maybe less. Cole felt his heart racing. In his 20 years as a doctor, he had never seen anything like this. The Zelari were dying from something that would barely affect a human. Their bodies were so specialized for their perfect world that they could not survive even small amounts of danger. On the bridge, Lieutenant Colonel Maria Santos was studying the tactical situation. She was a military engineer, trained to solve problems quickly and efficiently. Her job was usually to figure out how to destroy enemy positions, but now she was trying to save lives. Captain, she said to Morrison, I have an idea, but it is very risky. Morrison looked at her. Tell me. We evacuate the Zelari to our ships, then use our decontamination systems to clean their vessel. But the problem is keeping them alive. On our ships, our environment will kill them. How do we solve that? Santos pulled up a holographic display of the fleet. We modify the cargo bays on 5 different ships. Each one gets a different environment. If one fails, we have backups. We use our military-grade life support systems to create perfect conditions for them. Commander Parker looked at the plan. That means tearing apart half our ships and rebuilding them in less than an hour. Yes, Santos said. But humans are good at building things quickly when lives are at stake. Morrison made his decision. Do it. All ships, prepare for emergency modifications. I want every engineer, every technician, and every maintenance crew working on this. The human fleet exploded into activity. On dozens of ships, crews began tearing out walls, ripping up floor panels, and rebuilding entire sections of their vessels. They worked with the speed and efficiency that only came from years of military training. Martinez and his team were studying the Zelari engine when they made an important discovery. The crystals were not just dying from radiation. They were trying to repair themselves, but they did not have the right materials. Look at this, Tucker said, pointing to a section of the crystal matrix. The crystals are trying to grow new connections, but they need specific minerals. Minerals that exist on their home world, but not out here in space. Martinez looked at the analysis. Can we synthesize those minerals? Not with our technology. Our fabricators are designed to make metal parts, not organic crystals. Martinez thought about the problem. Humans were good at finding solutions when the obvious path did not work. What if we do not try to make the minerals? What if we give the crystals something else to work with? Like what? Like human technology. We cannot make their crystals, but we can make components that do the same job. We build a hybrid system. Tucker looked confused. Sir, that is impossible. Our technology and theirs are completely different. Are they? Martinez pulled up schematics of both technologies. Look at this. Their crystals conduct energy and process information. Our quantum processors do the same thing. Their bioneural interfaces control systems. Our computer networks do the same thing. The methods are different, but the purposes are the same. On the medical deck, Dr. Cole was having a similar realization. He could not fix the Zelari's crystalline bodies, but he could support them while they healed themselves. Yileth, he said to the alien doctor. What if we do not try to cure the radiation poisoning? What if we just give your bodies what they need to fight it? I do not understand, Yelith said weakly. Your people heal by growing new crystal structures, right? What if we provide the energy and materials for that growth? We create a perfect healing environment. Yelith thought about it. That might work. But you would need to understand our biology perfectly. One mistake could kill us. Then, teach me, Cole said. We have the most advanced medical technology in the galaxy. If you can explain what you need, we can provide it. Throughout the fleet, similar conversations were happening. Human engineers were learning alien technology. Human doctors were studying alien biology. And human technicians were rebuilding their ships to accommodate beings they had never seen before. The work was dangerous and complicated. The humans were essentially performing surgery on their own ships while flying through space. One mistake could kill everyone on board, but they did not stop. They did not complain. They did not even slow down. Lieutenant Amy Foster was coordinating the communication between all the teams. She watched as hundreds of humans worked together with perfect coordination, sharing information and resources without hesitation. This is incredible, she said to Captain Morrison. We are essentially rebuilding our entire fleet in under an hour. Morrison watched his crew work. These were the same people who had been prepared for war just hours ago. Now they were using their military training and equipment to save lives. This is what humans do, he said. We solve problems. We do not give up, and we do not leave people behind. On the gentle current, the three Zalari were watching the human fleet work. Despite their weakness, they were amazed by what they were seeing. They are changing their entire fleet for us, Kithara said in wonder. They are risking their own lives to save ours. Zeppelin was monitoring the human communications. They are not just helping us, they are learning from us. They want to understand our technology. Vex High looked at the massive ships surrounding them. I think we misunderstood the Deathworld stories. They did not just make humans dangerous, they made humans determined. The countdown continued. 30 minutes until the Zalari would die from radiation poisoning. But the humans were not giving up. They were working with the intensity and focus that came from living on a world where giving up meant death. The greatest rescue operation in galactic history was about to begin. Time was running out. The three Zalari had only 20 minutes left before the radiation would kill them. Throughout the human fleet, hundreds of people were working faster than they had ever worked before. Petty Officer Dan Tucker was in cargo, Base 7 of the USS Liberty, making final adjustments to the environmental systems. The large room had been completely transformed. Where there used to be storage containers and military equipment, it was now a perfect replica of a Zalari living space. Temperature is stable, Tucker reported to Captain Morrison. Gravity is set to 1/10 normal. Atmosphere is filtered and clean. Energy fields are balanced. The work had been incredibly difficult. Humans were used to heavy gravity, thick air, and bright lights. Creating an environment gentle enough for the Zalari was like trying to build a soap bubble inside a thunderstorm. How stable is it? Morrison asked. It should hold, sir. But if anything goes wrong with the power systems, the whole environment will collapse in seconds. Morrison nodded. They were taking enormous risks, but they had no choice. Begin the evacuation. On the gentle current, Dr. Kithara was barely conscious. The radiation had weakened her so much that she could barely move her forearms. Beside her, Vex High and Zeppelin were in even worse condition. The humans are coming, she whispered to her companions. They have built a place for us on their ship. Zeppelin tried to speak, but could only make weak sounds. His crystalline body was breaking down, and dark spots were spreading across his blue skin. The first human shuttle, approached the Zellari ship slowly and carefully. Inside, Lieutenant Amy Foster and a team of specialists were wearing special suits designed to protect the Zellari from human contamination. Even their breath could poison the delicate aliens. "Docking now," reported the shuttle pilot. "Connection is secure." Foster opened the airlock between the shuttle and the alien ship. The difference in environments was extreme. The Zellari ship was filled with soft, filtered light and gentle energy fields. The human shuttle, even modified, felt harsh and dangerous by comparison. "Dr. Kithara," Foster said through her suit's communicator, "we are here to help you. But you must trust us completely." Kithara looked at the human woman. Even through the protective suit, she could see Foster's determined eyes. "We trust you," she said weakly. The evacuation was incredibly delicate. Each Zellari had to be placed in a special containment field that would protect them during the short journey to the human ship. The fields were like invisible bubbles that maintained perfect conditions around each alien. Foster and her team worked with extreme care. One mistake, one wrong setting, and the Zellari would die instantly. The containment fields had to be perfect in every way. "Kithara is secure," Foster reported. "Beginning transport." The journey from the shuttle to the cargo bay took only minutes, but it felt like hours to everyone involved. The human crew moved with surgical precision, monitoring every system and checking every reading. When the 3 Zellari were finally placed in the modified cargo bay, Dr. Ryan Cole was waiting with a complete medical team. The bay had been turned into the most advanced medical facility in the galaxy, specifically designed for one purpose: keeping 3 alien scientists alive. "How are they?" Morrison asked as he watched through the observation window. "Stable for now," Cole reported, "but their bodies are still breaking down. We have bought them time, but we have not saved them yet." While the medical team worked to stabilize the Zellari, Chief Engineer Martinez was leading a different kind of rescue operation. His team was preparing to enter the gentle current and repair the alien engine. "Remember," Martinez told his engineers, "this is not like anything we have ever worked on before. Their technology is alive. Treat it with respect." The human engineering team entered the Zellari ship wearing full environmental suits. The radiation levels were deadly, but humans could survive them for short periods with proper protection. Martinez looked at the alien engine and shook his head in amazement. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The crystalline structures pulsed with dying light, and the bioneural interfaces were slowly shutting down. "It is like watching a living creature die," said technician Lissa Chun. "Then we save it," Martinez said. "Tucker, start installing the hybrid interfaces. Chun, begin the crystal stabilization process. We are going to merge human and Zellari technology." The work was incredibly complex. The humans had to understand how the alien crystals communicated with each other, then build human computers that could speak the same language. They had to replace dying crystal networks with quantum processors while maintaining the organic connections that made the engine work. "The crystals are responding," Chun reported. "They are accepting the human components." Martinez watched as his team performed what was essentially surgery on an alien machine. They were not just fixing the engine. They were creating something new, something that had never existed before. In the medical bay, the Zellari were slowly getting stronger. Dr. Cole had created an environment so perfect that their bodies were finally able to begin healing themselves. Kithara was the first to regain consciousness. She looked around at the human medical equipment and felt amazed. The humans had built this entire facility just for her and her companions. "How do you feel?" Dr. Cole asked. "Better," Kithara said, surprised by her own voice. "Much better." "But how is this possible?" "We learned about your biology from Yillith," Cole explained. Then we built systems to give your bodies exactly what they need to heal. Kithara looked at the human doctor. You did this for strangers, people you had never met before. Cole smiled. That is what humans do. We help people who need help. On the gentle current, Martinez and his team were making incredible progress. The hybrid engine was actually working better than the original. The combination of Zellari organic technology and human engineering was creating something more powerful than either could achieve alone. Crystal matrix is stable, Tucker reported. Bio-neural interfaces are online. Quantum processors are integrated. Martinez felt a surge of pride. His team had just accomplished something that should have been impossible. They had merged two completely different technologies into a single working system. Engine test in 3, 2, 1, he said. The Gentle Current's engine came back to life with a soft, musical hum. The ship's lights brightened, and the life support systems began working perfectly again. It works, Chun said in amazement. It actually works, but Martinez was looking at something else. The radiation levels were dropping rapidly. Not only had they fixed the engine, they had solved the radiation problem completely. Morrison to all teams, the captain's voice came over the communicators. Status report. Engine is repaired and fully functional, Martinez reported. Radiation levels are back to normal. Medical team reports all 3 Zellari are stable and recovering, Dr. Cole added. Morrison felt relief wash over him. They had done it. They had saved 3 alien lives using nothing but human determination and ingenuity. In the medical bay, Kithara was trying to understand what had happened. The humans had brought their entire fleet to help 3 strangers. They had torn apart their own ships and rebuilt them. They had learned alien technology in hours and created solutions that should have taken years. Why did you do all this for us? She asked Dr. Cole. Cole thought about the question. Because you needed help. Because you are good people doing important work. Because leaving you to die would have been wrong. Kithara realized something important about humans. They were not just dangerous because they came from a death world. They were dangerous because they never gave up, never accepted defeat, and never abandoned anyone who needed their help. The death world had not just made them strong. It had made them determined to protect life wherever they found it. 3 days later, the combined fleet was traveling through space toward the nearest Zellari colony. The Gentle Current flew safely in the center of the human formation, its hybrid engine working perfectly. The 3 Zellari scientists had recovered completely and were now guests aboard the USS Liberty. Dr. Kithara was in the ship's science laboratory, working alongside human researchers. She had never imagined that she would be conducting experiments with Deathworlders, but the experience was fascinating. The humans approached problems in ways that her people had never considered. Try increasing the crystal resonance frequency, suggested Dr. Martinez, who had become fascinated by Zellari biotechnology. Kithara adjusted the settings, and the experimental crystal began growing faster than ever before. Remarkable. Your people think in straight lines while we think in circles. Together, we can think in spirals. In the medical bay, Yillith was working with Dr. Cole to develop new medical techniques. The combination of human medical technology and Zellari biological knowledge was creating treatments that neither species could have developed alone. Your species heals by forcing the body to repair itself, Yillith observed. Our species heals by providing perfect conditions for natural growth. Together, we can do both. Captain Morrison was on the bridge, reviewing reports from his fleet. The past 3 days had been peaceful, but he remained alert. Space was dangerous, and they were still far from Zellari territory. Captain, called Communications Officer Katie Walsh, I am detecting ships approaching. Multiple contacts, closing fast. Morrison felt his muscles tense. Battle stations. All ships, Prepare for possible hostile contact. The fleet quickly moved into defensive formation around the gentle current. The approaching ships appeared on the main screen, and Norrison recognized them immediately. Kavik Raiders, he said grimly. The Kavik were one of the most feared pirate groups in the galaxy. They attacked merchant ships, captured crews for slavery, and destroyed anything they could not steal. They were known for their cruelty and their refusal to show mercy to anyone. 12 ships, reported Commander Parker, armed with plasma cannons and boarding equipment. They are targeting the gentle current. The Kavik had obviously detected the small Zalari ship and assumed it would be easy prey. They had no idea that it was protected by the most powerful human fleet in space. Norrison opened a communication channel to the approaching raiders. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Human Third Fleet. The vessel you are approaching is under our protection. Turn around and leave immediately. The response came quickly. The Kavik commander appeared on the screen, his scarred face twisted with contempt. Humans, he snarled, we do not fear your kind. One small ship is not worth fighting a fleet for. Give us the aliens, and we will let you live. Morrison felt anger building inside him. The Kavik commander obviously thought he was dealing with a single human ship, not an entire fleet. You misunderstand the situation, Morrison said calmly. Look at your sensors again. The Kavik commander's expression changed as his crew updated him on what they were really facing. 200 human warships armed with the most advanced weapons in the galaxy, all in perfect battle formation. This is your final warning, Morrison continued. These beings are under our protection. Leave now, or face the consequences. In the science laboratory, Kithara was watching the confrontation with amazement. She had seen the stories about human military power, but this was different. Morrison was not threatening violence. He was simply stating a fact. They really will fight for us, she whispered to Martinez. Of course, Martinez replied, as if the question was strange. You are under our protection now. That means something to humans. The Kavik commander was clearly struggling with his decision. His ships were outnumbered 20-1, and human military technology was legendary throughout the galaxy. But pirates did not survive by backing down from fights. We do not fear humans, the commander said, but his voice lacked confidence. We will take what we want. Morrison's expression did not change. Then you will die for it. The human fleet did not move. They did not power up additional weapons or make threatening gestures. They simply waited. 200 warships ready to defend 3 alien scientists. The Kavik commander stared at the human captain for a long moment. He was a veteran pirate who had fought dozens of battles, but he had never faced odds like this. The humans were clearly prepared to fight to the death for beings they barely knew. Finally, the commander made his choice. All ships withdraw. This prize is not worth the cost. The Kavik fleet turned and disappeared into hyperspace, leaving the human formation alone in space. Morrison turned to his crew. Stand down from battle stations. Resume normal operations. Throughout the fleet, human crews returned to their regular duties as if nothing had happened. For them, protecting innocent beings was simply part of their job. In the science laboratory, Kithara was staring at Martinez with new understanding. You were prepared to fight 12 ships to protect us. Why? Martinez looked confused by the question. Because you are under our protection. Because you are good people doing important work. Because it was the right thing to do. But you barely know us. That does not matter, Martinez said. Right is right, regardless of species. Over the next few days, as the fleet continued toward Zilari space, deep friendships formed between the crews. The humans were endlessly curious about Zilari science and culture. The Zilari were fascinated by human determination and problem-solving abilities. Chief Engineer Martinez and Zeppelin worked together to refine the hybrid engine technology. They discovered that combining human engineering with Zellari biotechnology could create ships that were both more powerful and more efficient than either species could build alone. Dr. Cole and Yilith established the first interspecies medical protocols, sharing knowledge that would save countless lives in both civilizations. Lieutenant Foster and Dr. Kithara collaborated on new scientific instruments that could study phenomena that neither species could examine separately. When they finally reached the Zellari colony, the entire population gathered to welcome them. Word of the rescue had spread throughout Zellari space, and the story had grown with each telling. The colonial administrator, an elderly Zellari named Morden, greeted the human fleet with deep gratitude. The Zellari collective owes humanity a debt that can never be repaid, he said. Captain Morrison stood before the assembled aliens, feeling somewhat embarrassed by all the attention. We did what anyone should do when people need help. No, Morden said firmly. You did what only humans would do. You brought your entire fleet to save 3 strangers. You risked your lives for people you had never met. You protected us from pirates who wanted to harm us. The administrator paused, then made a formal announcement. The Zellari Collective hereby offers humanity a permanent alliance. We offer our knowledge, our friendship, and our gratitude. Morrison looked at the gathered aliens, then at his own crew. The humans had come expecting to fight a war, but instead they had found something more valuable than victory. They had found friends. On behalf of humanity, Morrison said, we accept your friendship, and we promise that whenever you need help, we will answer your call. Dr. Kithara stepped forward. Captain Morrison, we would like to request permission to accompany your fleet on future missions. Our species have much to learn from each other. Morrison smiled. Permission granted. Welcome to the team. As the combined human and Zellari fleet prepared to depart for new adventures, the USS Liberty and the Gentle Current flew side by side. The 2 ships, one built for war and one built for peace, represented something new in the galaxy. They represented the idea that the strongest warriors could also be the gentlest protectors, and that the best friendships often began with the biggest misunderstandings. In the months that followed, other species would hear the story of how humans had brought their entire fleet to save 3 alien scientists. They would learn that humans were not just dangerous because of their weapons or their military power. They were dangerous because they never abandoned anyone who needed their help, never gave up when lives were at stake, and never forgot that. Being strong meant protecting those who were weak. The Death World had created more than just warriors. It had created guardians who would travel across the galaxy to answer a simple call for help.